wonderful day and be welcome to another video. Today is our Scorpio Moon, and as tradition, today we're going to bring forward all and any message that Hades has to share for all of us. And as we did in the last one, we are gonna have 3 piles from which you will have to choose. Before we start, I would like to share some news with you. I've opened a new service that's called Chthonic Readings for established connections, in which you're gonna be able to request a reading for the deity or the beast or any other underworld being you already have a connection with the purpose to clarify questions, ask further message, and this was created with the goal of helping you whenever you have troubles connecting with them, whenever you have doubts about the message you are receiving, or just because you want to have some kind of external support that can help you verify or reassure the information you are already getting. And it's also important to mention that I personally believe you are able to communicate and connect with your spirit guides, your mentors and deities whenever you have the chance and whenever you wish to establish that connection. But I'm also aware that there are some times and moments in our lives in which it is more hard or more difficult to do so for a variety of reasons. So if this is something you're interested in, if this is something you're curious about, please check the description below where you will find all the information about it. Now, let's start with a reading. Hello there, pal one. Let's jump straight to seeing your cards. I already shuffled them to save us some time, and let's see what you got. The majority of cards you have in your layout are the diamonds, which are related to earth, to money, to resources, to anything that's material, anything that's physical. And the first things that calls to my attention or that show up as a highlight here is that you're currently undergoing some kind of work that involves teamwork, that involves more than one people or more than yourself. And it's something that is embedded inside of your routine. It's something that you have had or had not in the sense of like an obligation, but it's something that has been part of your day-to-day life more frequently than maybe a regular project. And I see that this is also something that you feel deeply passionate about. It's something that you are really investing the time, the resources, and the research that involves making this a reality. This is also something that is showcasing or is being showcased inside of your profession, inside of your career. And it also feels like a desire that has come true at some point, like something that you have pursued for a long time. And it's like right now it's actually showing signs of life, let's say, because up until now it could have been something that it has been on your mind, something that has been only planning, but right now it's actually putting in the work and making or fulfilling the steps that you need to fulfill and take so this can become a reality. Okay, these cards, the diamonds, are also talking about that you should definitely keep moving forward. The 8 of Diamonds, it's a card that always talks about a yes, that tells you that anything's possible, that that thing you really want and are working towards, it's something that you can actually make true. And the 3 of Diamonds, it's always a card that encourages you to follow your desires, to keep putting in the work and to make your dreams come true. And I know that this may sound cliche, but right now you have the stamina, you have the work, you have the energy, the physical energy to put in the work and do it, even if it's not an energy that it's constantly there physically, because It can depend from person to person, but your routine may seem very different to another people, and the way in which you approach your projects, it's something highly personal. So don't feel like you need to work on this every single day for you to be able to see results. For some people this works, and for other people, like me for example, um, I have a cycle in which I know which days are my best days to work, so I don't invest an unnecessary amount of energy in the days that I don't really feel creative. Okay, so this is also about learning how your body works, learning how to manage your resources at the moment. And you also have the king and the jack of diamonds. The jack of diamonds, it's a card that talks about clear goals, about having good ideas, about setting the plan, setting the early um, section or part of the plan, delimiting, I think it's the word, I'm sorry if I'm misspelling the word, setting the goals so you are able to achieve them. Okay, and it's also a card that's related to Mercury, to very good, to planning. It's a heavy planning and scheduling card. So if you are able, and this is more like a general advice, if you are able to set up some kind of schedule, or create some kind of step-by-step process, or even create a list of the things you need to do, that would be great. That could be helpful for you if you ever feel disorganized or disoriented, or even if you dive a little bit inside of the creation process, which we will go in a minute, your spark and the way in which you are materializing these things. Even if you um, change your route at some way, you can always have this plan, and you can always come back to this plan and be like, hey, this is my route, this is what I'm gonna keep following from this time on. Okay, and finally you have the king of diamonds, which represent a card for good luck, for things that are materializing inside of the physical realm. And it's also a card that's related to career, to your 10th house in astrology, your career, your goals, the way in which you show up in your work, in your job. And this also talks about your desire to reach completion, your desire to make this and take this project to the end, to make sure that this time it's not something that just you are starting out, you are dabbling around with it, but this time you understand that this is something you want to take into the long term, into the future, and you want to create something stable and something that it's perdurable in time. So this is encouraging that if this is something you have been thinking about, if this is something you have been working towards to create, you are being encouraged, you have good luck on your side, and you have all of the good cards to keep moving forward, and the encouragement you need to take the steps you need to take, even if the future seems uncertain, even if at sometimes you doubt about the steps that you're taking. Know that you have the possibility, you have the chance to achieve these wishes, these desires, these things that you want to achieve in the future. Okay, it's something that you're able to reach completion at this point. Now, let's talk about the clubs. You have the Queen of Clubs and the Three of Clubs. The clubs are cards that are generally associated with your spirit, with your spark, with fire, and also with your creative interest, and that, like that idea that you get suddenly. You had the Queen of Clubs, which is a card that it's a very empowered individual. It's someone that's an achiever, someone that goes through and for their goals. I'm sorry, someone that is energetic. I also associate this card with the internet, with social media, and with putting yourself out there, to being the badass boss you need to be to achieve your goals, and to being confident in that you understand your knowledge, you appropriate your knowledge, your experience, and you are able to put yourself out there to achieve those goals. Okay, This queen is also someone that has gone through a lot, is someone that has had to reinvent herself, and I'm talking about her and his just because of the natural genders of the cards, but know that this can apply to anyone. This card is also someone that has to reinvent herself and her foundations more than once, and has had to revisit those basic and fundamental characteristics of themselves and the things they're working on to be able to achieve the point in which they are right now, which is being a queen. Okay, it's also associated with Aries and your natural drive to action. You have then the Three of Clubs, which is the card of exploration and something that involves major responsibility. I see that maybe in the past, other projects you have developed could have been very interesting, very curious, but for some reason, it was something that you worked for a while, for a time, but didn't give you that much of a reward that you were expecting, not fulfilling or not even material. And this is something, or this is part of the past of the Queen of Clubs, and those things that she has learned and has had to revisit in her past to be able to correct and to change maybe even her direction of the boat, so she can land now whatever thing she's working on right now, which is actually this thing that you are working on, instead of the diamonds. You have then the spades, in which you have the Jack of Spades and the Three of Spades, which are a calling for you to remember to choose, to remember that if you want something, you need to go for it, you need to pursue it. Not necessarily and not always just thinking about what you want or thinking about those manifestations or just journaling about them, it's going to work. Not always. I'm not saying that at some point when you are more experienced and more aligned, maybe energetically, with that practice, you cannot manifest more quickly. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that these cards are coming up as a wake-up call, as a reminder that if you really want this, if you really want this outcome, this Nine of Diamonds, you really need to put in the work. You need to make sure that you are setting the goals and that you are actually showing up in your own capacity to fulfill each one of these steps. Okay? Now, the Jack of Spades, it's a card that is also related to communication, with choices, and with your innate abilities to make things come true. Why do I say this? Because it's also related to the Magician and the Lovers. And you also need to remember that you need to develop some kind of practice in which you can practice your will and your desire. And those things need to work together so you can achieve the goal. Now, finally, talking about your Six of Hearts, which is the less heavy one inside of this layout because we only have one heart. This is talking about how you don't really are focusing that much inside of your emotions or how you feel about the situation, but right now you're more driven towards action and towards planning and towards maybe analyzing some kind of patterns that you have been implementing before that maybe are not working right now or will not work when you start to develop this part of the job. But the Six of Hearts, it's still present in the way that it's giving you a boost of good luck. It's giving you or reminding you that these transformations will happen progressively, and you can always give the extra mile if you feel like you really have that spark, that inspiration, or like if you are, for example, divinely inspired at some kind of moment and you feel like the ideas are flowing and everything seems like it's working out, take advantage of that energy. Okay, if you're feeling exhausted, try to do things that help you ground yourself and make you feel safe and better and more at peace. But if you ever find yourself connecting with that higher knowledge, with that spark of divine inspiration, flow with it, because that will be a gift granted to you at that time to be able to bring forward and to deliver or the pull that information, that energy that's going to lead you into the more practical ways or the more practical steps that you will then take forward. And I see this something similar to what happens in architecture when we conceptualize, for example, a design. We first allow ourselves to dream, to imagine, to explore possibilities without limitations. And then, when we are kind of feeling that this is a particular way in which I want to move forward, then I start the research. Then I start to set plans and to set my goals and to step and follow the plan so I can make sure that that dream can become a reality. Okay, this is also a reminder for you that you need to dream first, or you are encouraged to dream first and then to create the plan of action, always remaining flexible to changes and to shape that outcome as you progress inside of your journey. Okay, well, I hope that you like this, and please share with me in the description below your comments and opinions about this. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Hello, pile 2. Let's see what are your cards. I already shuffled them to save us some time. And let's see what you got. Initially, the most cards you have in your spread are the diamonds, which are related to the physical aspects to life, resources, money, and any other similar. You have the 8, the 7, the 5, and the Ace. The Ace of Diamonds. This is a card that talks about working hard, diligence, attention to details, and it's also a reminder that whatever you want to achieve, you can do that. Okay, let's jump forward to the 7 of Diamonds, which talks about rewards, a new image, something that it's changing, something that you want to transform and take beyond what you already know or what it's known in the common sense of the word. Then you have the 5 of Diamonds, which is taking a risk, something that implies playing big and winning big. Okay, it's a card that talks about respect, about resources, about investing, whether it be your resources, your time, and others. This is not financial advice, disclaimer. And then you have the Ace of Diamonds, which talks about anything new, about the initial material force that you carry within yourself at this point. It's basically talking about anything new, new ideas, new opportunities. And with this particular spread, with this particular combination, what I'm getting right now from this particular spread is that you're currently working towards starting something new, or you are like seeing into the future how you can make this thing you are first or initially considering and working towards, how can you make this go big, and how can you make sure that this is something completely new, that this is an idea that's completely yours, something that it's inherently tied not only to yourself but also to your unique experience, to your unique perspective, because you don't really want like the generic same thing everybody has. You don't want to talk about the same things everybody else is talking about, or you don't want to create the same product everyone is creating with minimal or small changes and variations. No, you want something that stands out, something that nobody else can replicate. And you also know that to achieve that, there's something you need to not give up, but you need to transform, you need to change in order to achieve that goal, in order to gain, to get to that destination. Okay? And if you're wondering, is this is the thing, or is this is the way I'm meant to go, I'm meant to explore? This is a yes. This is go big, going. Okay? For some people, taking risks is something that motivates them into taking action and achieving some things. For other people, taking risks is not something that they are encouraged to take. I mean, taking big risks. Please take this part of the reading with awareness and adapt this to your own situation in life, okay? But whatever, under whatever circumstances you are definitely encouraged to pursue this, as this is going to grant you a lot of transformation, a lot of fulfillment. And it's something that it's being portrayed as the sky is the limit. You are able to do this. You have what it takes. You are the magician and the empress and the leader who's able to transform and to create and to birth this into reality already with the tools you have. And I also see that you are heavily supported, and you are accompanied by this, because I also have here the Joker card, which in my personal way, in my own interpretation and my own experience, I always associate this card as the spiritual mentor, as the spirit guide, as the one who's always there guiding you and helping you in the spirit realm. And it's always encouraging you and showing you their presence in your life at the moment, and being like, hey, I'm with you. You are not alone. You are with me. We are together in this, and I'm going to help you as much as I can. But you also need to help yourself. You also need to make sure to establish the goals, to take the steps forward, because we can dream a lot about our dreams. We can imagine and we can envision the change we want to see in the world. But as long as we put in the work, that's the only way in which we are going to actually achieve those goals and to make them a reality. Okay? Because we can almost dream about the most amazing outcome, but you need to do the spell, you need to do the manifestation, you need to keep up with your rituals, but you also need to go and look for the job. You also need to go and set up the goals and start that YouTube channel, start that account, start that business, start that idea in some way or shape or form. That would be something like, for example, wanting to receive money. Let's say that you have a business. This is just an example. Let's say that you want to receive money through your business, but you're not talking about your offers. You're not publishing or posting about your offers. You're not telling the world how good they are and what they are going to get about it and how good they're going to feel with it, because your skills can provide that and can help them get this thing, this outcome. You know what I mean? You need to still do the prayer, do the spell, but put in the work. And now, talking about the spades and your intellect, the air, the knowledge and the wisdom of things, you have the King of Swords and the Eight of Swords. The King of Swords, or the King of Spades, it's my personal Hades card, and whenever I see this card, I always know that he's present right here in this I mean, he's present in all three piles, of course, but he's heavily encouraging you at this time, like, hey, keep moving forward. You're not alone. I'm here. I'm helping you. But if we talk about the traditional meanings of these cards, the King of Spades, it's someone that it's mostly introverted, dark, silent, reserved, but it's someone that it's cunning, someone that knows a lot more than what they express. It's someone that observes and is able to maintain equilibrium and balance in their life. They are the silent but powerful leaders, okay? The ones who know a lot and know how to implement whatever they have gone through instead of the ones' experiences, because they have the experience and they have transformed that into wisdom. This is not only about reading books and getting the knowledge. No, this is reading the books, putting into practice, making mistakes, and now being the leader of that knowledge, let's say that way, because they already have passed through all the tasks and trials to get to this point. But the thing is that we also have the Eight of Spades, which it's something that talks about immediate change, but it can also talk about confusion and denial and having those doubts inside of yourself. This is also a card about communication, about decision, about understanding that you need to take the skills that you possess. You need to recognize that you have value with the skills you already have, and that you can start with what you already have, and you can grow from this point moving forward. You will gain so much wisdom by practicing, by applying what you learn in the moment and making mistakes, because that's going to be the way in which you're going to learn and you're going to progress and you're going to grow. We cannot pretend just reading and nurturing our knowledge without putting it into practice. Of course, you can talk about what you have read, you can talk about what other people are telling, but the experience you have and the mistakes you create and how you transform from those mistakes, that's the value. That's something valuable and important and something you need to focus on, okay? Now, let's talk about the Seven of Clubs and the Ten of Hearts. The Seven of Clubs, it's a it's a card that talks about trial and error, something that talks about try again. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to apply that knowledge today to achieve those dreams. If you want to get something that it's big, you need to be open to making mistakes, because sometimes those bigger dreams and those things that seem kind of impossible, but that for you seem possible, sometimes, and it depends on the case, they will not have like established route or plan of action, let's call it, because it's something new that you are creating at the moment. So you will make mistakes and you need to expect mistakes. How do you know you are moving forward? Because you're making mistakes, because things maybe are not working in the way you expected, but inside of you, you know, like, hey, maybe this is not working at the moment, but I know that this can work some way, and I'm gonna find a way in which this is gonna work. And we have the Ten of Hearts, which it's a very lovely and encouraging card to have here, because it talks about rewards, it talks about the climax, it talks about reaching that point of fulfillment, of getting your dream become true, and that's going to be your reward. You're going to start to see how the pieces start to fall inside of place. You're going to see how everything starts slowly, how to make sense in its own way, and it's going to look a lot like a puzzle. That's how I'm getting it. Like, you're gonna start to work on very different parts of the puzzle, and whenever you're stuck in some part, jump to another, okay? Don't get stuck in this part that it's not working, because maybe working on something else, it's going to give you the answer on how to move forward with this. Okay, don't be afraid to experiment, to maybe change and twerk things, and to transform and to play with that alchemy, with those tools that you have at your hand. Be the experimenter. Make this your lab, make this an experiment, and enjoy each part of your process. Okay, finally, you have the King of Diamonds under the deck, which is a card that talks about long-term success. And for you to achieve this success in the long term and for the future, you need to make sure that you are working strong in your foundations and you're paying attention to the way in which the small steps and the small things add up to the bigger picture. Okay, so be attentive of your routines, of your schedules, and the way in which you achieve your goals. Okay, hope you like this, and let me know in the comments what do you think and your feedback if you feel called to share that with me inside of that space. Hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Hello, group 3. I have here your cards. I already shuffled them to give more time to the reading, so let's see what you got. You have here the majority of cards in the spades, which it's a suit that talks about wisdom, about intelligence, about the mind, about that step beyond experience. And it's kind of like the elder, let's call it that way. And it's also associated with shadow, with transformation, with sometimes pain. Okay, so let's see what you got over here. You have the Three of Swords. It's a card that talks about pain, about heartbreaks, about the incapacity to make a choice, about feeling stagnant and feeling like there's no justice or things aren't working out as they should work out at this time. You have then the Seven of Swords, which is a card of running away, of maybe reaching a point of awareness inside of your self-realization regarding taking risks and reaching a point, reaching a limit in whatever endeavor or experience you are going through at the moment. Then you have the Jack and the Queen. The Jack, it's a card that talks about introversion, about being moody, about maybe even feeling sad, dry. Um, Sometimes it's also a card that talks about truth and reaching profound and deepness inside of that silence. But this time, this feels very gray, very dark. Um, it has a tint of being kind of, I don't want to use the word desperate, but I'm grasping the word, the term at the moment. Let's see if I can find the term as we move forward. Then we have the Queen of Swords, which it's also a card that's related to justice. It's a card that tends to be a woman or an individual that is astute, someone that is cunning, someone that understands what needs to be delivered in order to gain justice. And it's also related to, or she understands that sometimes that justice is not granted correctly because it depends on many factors and many variables at the time. Okay, Based on these cards, this has a very gray tint, a very kind of sad turn of events, because what I'm getting from this is that there are some things you have experienced recently. This could be also related to your relationship inside of love, or with friends, or with groups of people, particularly, in which there could have been some kind of miscommunication. And there could be people that there are also not making the choices that you could have expected they would make, or they are not moving forward with the things you are moving forward with. So this also feels like a division, like a separation of ways. And this is also I feel this especially because of the seven of spades, of the running away concept, and the that like diversification, let's say, of routes, of walks. But in general, this feels very moody, very sad, very, a lot of thought has been taking place, a lot of pondering, and thinking a lot about what choice or what decision, or how can I move forward with this, what is the best course of action in this situation. This is the energy of these cards. Let's see with the others to help you figure out what else is going on. You also have the Two of Hearts and the Five of Hearts. These are cards that traditionally are related to the Two of Hearts of a connection with someone, with an individual. Traditionally, is related with equal care, with love, with sweetness. Okay. You also have the Five of Hearts, which also talks about great fortune, or wishes. I'm sorry, wishes come true. Um, but it's also a card that talks a lot about transformation, and a lot about the things we don't see, and how sometimes those wishes cannot necessarily be what we expected in some cases. This is for your particular case. What I'm also getting here with the diamonds, let's do a general review, and then let's come back with the message per se. You have also the Eight of Diamonds, which it's a card that talks about possibilities, about um, diligence, about taking the step forward and moving forward, attention to details, to thinking that everything was figured out, you had everything figured out. Then you have the King of Diamonds, which it's a card that can be stoic, that in this context I interpret as the other individual. And at this point, I already understand that this is a reading more related to your feelings, to your emotions, to the pain that has come through some kind of separation. Then you have the Six of Wands, which is a card that talks about procrastinating the result, about not taking the that that point, that step that you need to take to achieve that thing that you know you gotta pursue. It's also a reminder that you need to put in the work so you can reap the benefits of whatever you are working towards at the moment. And finally, you have the Ten of Hearts. The Ten of Hearts, it's a card, it's a lovely card. It talks about joy, rewards, love, fulfillment, emotional fulfillment. But if I'm honest, right now, this feels like the depth of the ocean. Like it was too much, and now you're feeling a lot. And this could also mean that this is also a reminder for you to come back to your shadow, to attend to care to your wounds, to care for yourself, and to remind you that you are valuable, that you have what it takes. You're an amazing person, you're a very loving person. But this is something, these are things that happen, you know. In general, what I'm getting from this reading, this inevitably feels like some kind of separation or disturbance or conflict between two or even more individuals. I'm tempted to say something related to relationships, but I will keep this general. So, this can mean relationships in love or friendships, groups of people, groups of friends, some kind of that. Okay? This feels like a lot of conflict, like the things that you expected to be were not achieved, like you are losing something, like something's being left behind. And there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of shadow, a lot of darkness that it's not immediately visible here, but it's something that you're feeling deep inside of your chest, and it can also provoke some kind of pain, deep pain at the moment. Sometimes things happen, and sometimes light shines over the things that are not working. The sun, so the sun tends to illuminate the shadows, and sometimes that also means that it shows whatever is not working at the moment. Or we can also associate this with the full moon, when normally things show up and you are able to see what's really going on because the moon is reflecting the light of the sun. But the Six of Wands, as being a fire card and also associated with the sun and the strength in Leo, it's also being or showing or bringing light and awareness to these issues that you have been moving forward. So I would say that the advice right now is to sit with yourself, to allow yourself to go through these emotions. Maybe if you feel capable, to do some shadow work, to do some journaling about this, to express yourself in any way, shape, or form that you feel comfortable with. Shadow work not necessarily and not always means sitting, for example, in the astral or doing a crying session. It can also look like journaling, like making art, like talking things out, like expressing yourself in some way in which you can transform those feelings and those things that are trapped inside of you. And it's curious because I'm seeing the Three of Diamonds under this card, which talks about also relying on people that you trust, maybe even your spirit team or other friends or people you trust that can help you go through this process of transformation. And know that there's also death and just judgment and a lot of justice inside of these topics. And maybe things don't seem like fully just at the moment, or maybe you are meant to bring that justice in some way or form, however this looks like for you, being it, for example, talking your truth or helping yourself understand how things happen and how they made you feel, or maybe even reaching out to the other person and saying like, hey, I really need to talk with you, I would really like to dive deep into these things that happen and maybe look for a solution, because sometimes we keep silent and we keep things to ourselves and we remain silent in those painful situations, and maybe those things can even be solved within a conversation. So if you are having troubles making those choices, if you are having trouble taking this step forward to maybe even reach out or look for a solution, maybe that's also a calling here for you to consider this option and to look forward to make that justice, which not always means something bad. That can also means to clarify what happened and to look always things from a objective perspective as much as you can, and to be diligent in the actions you need to take. Okay? So, this is just an encouragement for you to sit, to try to cool down if you need to center your thoughts, and to really take a decision towards where you want to move and how you want to um, aboard this situation. Okay? Hope you liked this reading, and let me know in the comments if you wish to share your thoughts or feedback about this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.